This video is meant to serve as a resource for citing material in research projects, regardless of your industry or field of study. Here, we'll identify the resource of our content, show you exactly how to cite a book and journal article properly in a reference page, and also how to cite material in the body of your work, whether you are citing direct quotes or just ideas from the material in general. Lastly, I'll share other tips to make you even more successful. In this video, we'll base how we cite our material according to the American Psychological Association, or APA's 6th edition. When you're creating your works cited page, you are listing all of the sources you used to build your project. When citing a book, there's a particular format to follow. This is an example of a textbook I use for one of the courses I teach and how to properly cite it. Jones and George are the authors. Notice you use the last name and first initial. The order of the authors is provided and not something you change. The last name is followed by a comma, then the first initial followed by a period. If there are two authors, there is no comma after the first author's first name initial. After that period, type the word "and", then follow the same format by the second author's last name, comma, first initial, period. The 4-digit year will be in parentheses followed by a period. The title of the book is in italics, and notice that only the first letter of the entire book name is capitalized. If there were any proper names in the title, they would be capitalized as well. Because this book has multiple editions, notice that the 7th edition is listed, followed by ed, period, then right parentheses, period. The city is listed, followed by a comma, then the two-letter state followed by a colon. The publisher's name is listed, followed by a period, and notice that the second line is indented. When you are creating your works cited page for a journal article, there's also a particular format to follow. Here, I will share two journal articles that I used in my own work. Similar to the book citation, begin with the author's last name, followed by a comma, then the author's first initial of his or her first name, followed by a period. The 4-digit year of publication is in parentheses, followed by a period immediately following the right parentheses. The journal article title is next, and notice that only the first letter of the entire article is capitalized, followed by a period. The title of the journal is then identified in italics, followed by a comma, then the volume number, also in italics, followed by a comma with the page numbers of the article listed with a dash between them, and no spaces, then followed by a period. Notice the second line is indented. In a journal article with multiple authors, each last name is followed by a comma, followed by a first initial and a period. Each author's first name initial is followed by a comma, except for the last author. The last author's first name initial is followed by the 4-digit year within parentheses. Right after the right parentheses, put a period. The title is listed, and notice only the first word is capitalized as well as the first word after the colon in the title. The title of the journal is italicized. Notice that it is capitalized because it's a proper name, the name of the journal, followed by a comma and the volume number also in italics. If there is an issue number, it immediately follows the volume number without a space, and there is no italics. The right parentheses is then followed by a comma with the page numbers of the article listed, followed by a period. Notice the second and third lines are indented. In-text citations using direct quotes. This first example is an excerpt from my Business and Sport Leadership article in the Journal of Values-Based Leadership on page 6. Notice a couple of things here. First, I begin with citing the source by including the author's last names and the 4-digit year of publication in parentheses, then using my own words to explain the context. Then, within the sentence, I cite the direct words from the authors by using quotation marks at the beginning and the end, followed by a parentheses and a single P, then period, followed by the page number, right parentheses, immediately followed by a period. The second example is an excerpt from my leadership article in the Journal of Values-Based Leadership on page 4. Here, I follow the same format of including the direct material from the authors. Since I didn't include the referenced material at the beginning of the sentence, what is included in parentheses contains each of the author's last names, followed by a comma. After the last quotation mark, I include each of the author's last names within the parentheses. After the third author's last name and a comma is the ampersand sign, followed by the fourth author's last name and a comma, then followed by the year of the publication, comma, then a single P, period, followed by the page number from where the source of the material came from, followed by a right parentheses, then a period. Now we'll look at in-text citations without direct quotes. This is an excerpt from the same leadership article in the Journal of Values-Based Leadership on page 11. When you are citing ideas, those that are not common sense to the general public, and you are not using direct quotes, you would simply list the author's last name, separated by commas, the word "and" if there are several authors, then the 4-digit year with parentheses within the text itself. If you cite material with multiple authors, after the first time all authors are listed in text, you can simplify the reference by using the first author's last name in the referenced material, followed by et al., and notice the al has a period that follows it, then the 4-digit year in parentheses. Here are some tips to consider in your papers. Be sure to use the exact page numbers when citing material in quotations. On the slide where we discussed in-text citations using direct quotes, we used a single P when referencing a single page. When multiple pages should be included within the citation, you would simply replace the single P, followed by a period, with 2 P's followed by a period to represent there are multiple pages. Direct quotes should be only 40 words or less. Pay attention to the verb tense. Your manuscript should reflect the past tense, particularly when you are citing material that has already been published. Punctuation is critical in citations. Be sure to pay attention to spaces, commas, parentheses, italics, because each item serves a different purpose.